Imagine cruising along through life when out of nowhere, something happens that's so weirdly insane, it forces you to ask the poorly written punchline to a joke that's become your strange reality. Am I in a cult? Chances are, if you're asking that question, the answer is probably yes, but no judgment here because I've been there, done that twice, and all I got was this t-shirt. What I have learned from that is the most entertaining way to heal your own fucked upness is hearing even crazier fucked upness from strangers on the internet. So get ready for a double dose of coming out of the cult closet Reddit stories. Some of these stories hit a little close to home, and there's a couple in here that I think I could have authored myself on Reddit. I'm like, wait, did I actually write this? I wanted to start off with one and I'll probably end with one. Who knows? We'll see where the spirit leads me today. I grew up in a small church. We were all homeschooled and all aspects of our life had to be approved by the pastor. Anyway, one day at a potluck, a kid pretended to smoke a cigarette. I think he used a stick of gum, something silly like that. But the pastor decided as a punishment, this kid had to smoke an entire pack of cigarettes. I think he was 10 or 11 years old, and he had to do it in front of the entire church. We watched him turn green and puke over and over, but he was forced to continue. This was the first time I realized how wrong this all was, but it certainly wasn't the last. It took me a long time to realize how psychologically damaging my childhood was and how much the adults around me failed me. I'm 26 now. I'm finally cutting myself off from the people that enabled this abuse for years. I've never smoked a cigarette. I've only smoked a cigar and other things, but an entire pack of cigarettes and then in front of everybody? What the fuck, bro? That's crazy. Pretty good sign that it's a cult when you just go along with abuse of your children or follow the lead of all of that. Well, the pastor knows best. No, the fuck he doesn't. Imagine the PTSD flashbacks he has every time he smells cigarette smoke. Oh my God. Let me tell you, the Reddit stories were so heavily Mormon. I don't know how anyone thinks it's not a cult at this point. You'll receive no argument from me because check, and check. I grew up Mormon, did the whole shindig. Mormon missionary, married in the Holy Temple, only dated other Mormon members, went to BYU, had kids immediately to fulfill my holy gender, and didn't finish my career because the church leaders told me that motherhood is the holiest calling on earth. Ooh, if Harrison Butker wasn't Catholic, he would have loved being a Mormon. Around 28 years old, I found a video about polyandry, which is men marrying already married women, and I was taken aback. It got me to actually research my religion for the first time. It was a balm to my faith, and I spent hours upon hours reading the history of the Spaceballs of Christianity. Basically, you find out that the church was founded off of pedophilia and adultery. So I left the church, I took my kids out, my marriage suffered a lot. Luckily, my husband ended up doing his own research and left as well. We lost all of our friends, community, and it destroyed our business that was dependent on other members since we live in Utah. And where we live, it's 80% Mormon. So we endured a lot of slander and bullshit even from our own families. It's been hell, but it's heaven on the other side. Living life now is a deep breath of fresh air. That's exactly how I've always described it. It's like leaving high control, high demand religion, cult, whatever you want to call it, is like, whew, let me not do that right into the microphone. I feel you, girl. I feel you. I don't know what it is with these church leaders and like forcing kids to do extreme things like the smoking the entire pack of cigarettes thing, but then this one is similar, but with gum. This was a relatively normal youth group activity that we did. My youth pastor was running a small competition to raise money for a mission trip. Part of a game he played was to split everyone into groups and get everyone to chew entire packs of gum until there were these huge wads of gum, and then everyone worked together to make a sculpture out of them. What happened to Play-Doh? Y'all could have just bought Play-Doh. I was so grossed out and visibly disgusted. My pastor approached me and told me I was disappointing everyone and that I was letting them all down by not doing this disgusting activity. He made me clean everything up, including all of the gum that the 50+ youth group used and chewed on and spat onto all of the tables with my bare hands. In that moment, I knew something wasn't right. That's so unnecessary for a competition in a youth group. Like, you could have just memorized Bible verses and competed. I mean, we actually did that for one of our activities. I've memorized the entire book of Proverbs one time as a fun little summer activity for the youth group. Should we talk about the Catholics? The Catholics kind of showed up and showed out with some of these stories. I was 8 and misbehaved at Sunday school, and the nun told my mother I was the spawn of Satan just because I clowned around a little bit. My mother realized it too and has never been back to church again despite being raised as a devout Catholic. See, that's what parents are supposed to do is recognize the signs and choose your child over religion. Like it's a no-brainer to me. I realized I was in a cult when the priest sexually assaulted me, and when I told the people in the church about it, they told me that I should feel blessed that someone so close to God had decided to take interest in me. I want to can't even say what I want to do, actually. That is vile. That is disgusting. That is unholy. That is ungodly. That is everything despicable. I can feel the anger boiling inside me. I was raised Catholic. I knew something was wrong when my mom was not allowed to accept communion because she divorced my dad, who was a convicted child molester and rapist. But it really clicked when my boyfriend unalived himself, and then I was told he actually went to hell. That's pretty damn low. Fuck that. To tell someone that divorce is ranked higher on sins and unacceptable more so than a child molester and rapist. Catholic priests know all about that. They wanted to protect their own. You already know that the ex-Jehovah's Witness folks ran to Reddit with these comments. I was born into a Jehovah's Witness family. When I was 12, I realized that the evidence for God was extremely weak or even non-existent, so I became an atheist, but I kept pretending to believe. I didn't realize it was a cult until I started to ask questions or point out contradictions or mistakes. Any inconsistency you question, typos in the JW publications, anything I said, no matter how small, was met with pure disgust. How dare you question the organization? If there's anything about your religion that your religion doesn't let you question, then they're definitely hiding something. Another giveaway was love bombing. Everyone acted like they loved me as a son or sibling, but not everyone was a good actor. The fake smiles, the forced greetings, the unconditional love from everyone, while gossip and murmuring prevail behind the scenes. You know how you can tell you're in a cult? Try leaving. I haven't heard from my parents in over a decade. That's what Jehovah's Witnesses do. I'm telling you, a cult's cutoff game is unmatched. That's not normal behavior. I'm an apprentice at a funeral home. We can upload obituaries about people we take care of on our website at the family's request. About once a month, we get a letter addressed to a family written by Jehovah's Witnesses. They offer their condolences and then try to convert the survivors. It's so scummy to try and convert a mourning family into your cult. They also spam our obituaries with so much Jehovah's Witness literature that we have to manually approve anything that anyone posts into the obituary. No, because if I had a loved one pass away and I was grieving and the Jehovah's Witness or any religious group used that opportunity to try to promote their religion, I would be sending that funeral home some business. That's all I'm going to say. Of course, the cultiest cult of all, in my opinion, is probably Scientology. I mean, it's just so over the top. I've interviewed my friend Jenny, who's an ex-Scientologist, and if you have any doubts, go watch those. This is when I knew Scientology was a cult. My mom said she bought a Scientology book in the late 70s or 80s, and then after that, for like 10 years, she kept receiving mail from them asking if she enjoyed the book and if she would like to join the religion. Very creepy stuff. That's like a toxic level of dedication, my guy. My friend was briefly involved with Scientology as a teen. He bailed out pretty quickly, but he still gets junk mail from them more than 25 years after he stopped having contact with them. They always manage to find his new address when he moves. Leave these people alone. I swear, that would put me off of a religion even more. If you're following me after 10, 25 years, still checking up on me to see if I'm interested, that's an immediate no. I went with a friend to a Christian Scientology. What's Christian Scientology? Is that different than regular Scientology? Where's Jenny? I need Jenny. They said the Star of Bethlehem was called the Star of, say it with me now, the Star of Boston. Also, the lady said that girls' periods are connected to the moon. Now, she might be onto something there, okay? Just for fun, I took one of the free personality tests from Scientology a few years ago. They contacted me and I made an appointment to hear my results. Apparently, every aspect of my personality was deficient. Relatable. The kind lady informed me that Scientology can help with that. For the right price, I bet it can. One Scientologist hassled me on the street while I was very stressed / lost. They asked me if I wanted to take a free stress test. I replied, sorry. I already know I'm fucking stressed. Fuck off. Of course, the active Scientologist found this thread because, I mean, if they can find you after 25 years, they can find something on Reddit. One of them dropped in to say that everyone loves to hate on Scientology, but doesn't actually take the time to actually see what it's all about. pretty sad. Is it sad though? I don't actually think any of us are sad about the fact that people are hating on the cult of Scientology. I think we kind of love it. Moving on from Scientology before I start getting shit in the mail, even though I've never signed up for anything. There's a couple cults that were on this thread that either A, I had never heard of, or B, I didn't expect to see just because I haven't like looked into it as much as some of the other ones. Here's one of them. I used to be part of these pro-Anna groups. Let me Google what that is. Oh, God. I wish I hadn't Googled that. It's like a group of girls that are devoted to anorexia with the ultimate goal of like getting each other deeper into being anorexic. What? I've never heard of this. And I'm thankful I had never heard of this. Hate, 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 double hate. Loathe entirely. But I used to be part of these pro-Anna groups, literally just a support group of mostly women telling each other how good it is to slowly kill yourself if it makes you pretty. There were Anna buddies who'd hold you accountable to not eat. You would post pictures of yourself as thinspiration. Oh my God, this is terrible. And you'd get praised for being severely underweight. There was a schedule of events where you would do cleanses, which were just mixing up drinks that would make yourself vomit. It was wild and kind of a cult looking back. Kind of a cult, ma'am. I mean, the word cult is really the least of whatever the fuck this is. It's definitely should be illegal and definitely immoral. Really, really fucking sad. If I can be honest, I've always thought Buddhism is kind of wholesome, like just surface level. Never really thought it was like culty from the outside looking in, but that's how cults get ya. Gotta wet my whistle for this next one. Maybe I can start some fires by mentioning that this group teaches Buddhism for airmen at basic training. I had to get a different person to go with me every single time because they would be weirded out and wouldn't want to come back. I thought the cult's ideas were interesting, but I know from experience, if they're making you repeat something and giving you a really shallow education in whatever they believe in, it's probably not a real healthy religion. They obviously fed on the desperation there. One guy who led it was apparently a Marine before and survived cancer and cried during the whole sermon. I couldn't tell if he was being genuine or being a con artist. I eventually just wanted to go because it was an easy nap. I would have done the exact same thing. Buddhism's interesting, but avoid that group like the plague. I've read a lot over the past few years about AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, being a type of cult. That's not one I've done a deep dive on, but some of these stories are making me want to. You guys know I'm probably going to do it. AA can be pretty culty depending on the meetings you go to. I went to one meeting regularly where they didn't want me to interact with anyone outside the program. They also wanted me to devote all of my free time to AA by doing service commitments and going to multiple meetings a day. They also told me to use the program as my higher power if I couldn't find my own conception of a higher power. I thought it was weird to think of the program as basically being God. Everyone wanted to know my life story down to the nitty-gritty details, and I would be criticized if I didn't want to share something. I ended up feeling worse about myself as a person because I constantly had to relive all of the bad shit I had done. I ended up leaving AA and going to a different recovery group that was a lot more relaxed. Like I said, it depends on the meeting, but the one I was going to seemed a lot like a cult, and it made me not want to be part of the program. I was in AA, and after 3 years, I made a major life change for the better, but my sponsor's first words to me were, "You didn't ask me if you could do that." You ain't my mama, and I wouldn't let even my mama talk to me like that. Okay, I have about 6 or 7 stories left. I'm only going to give 2 here, and just for the sake of time, the other ones will be going on Patreon, so head over there if you want to hear those next. I was invited to a seminar. People were chanting slogans, praising the founder and the seminar leader, celebrating the members' accomplishments and how many new members they recruited. That's when I realized the person who invited me lied and wanted me to officially join, not just go to an event party for fun. That was the last time I ever said yes to anything from Tupperware. Oh my God. God damn it. I thought for sure it was going to be Scientology. They had me in the first half, I'm not going to lie. I told you at the start of this video that I would give you a Reddit story at the beginning and at the end that hit pretty close to home. If you guys go way back with me and watch some of the earlier videos that I've posted about my own cult experience, you know how much my parents just loved corporal punishment, specifically the To Train Up a Child book of Mike and Debbie Pearl, all of that. And they were heavily influenced by the IFB, or Independent Fundamental Baptist. And so this last story follows that. I was raised IFB from the ages of 9 to 18. My parents let my sister Sarah and I walk to the library and get books. My sister and I absolutely dominated the kids' reading contest. She read Harry Potter and I was reading Stephen King. One day during that summer, I went with Sarah and my mom to visit another sister a few hours away. On the way home, my mom gets a phone call and goes white as the sheet. I remember seeing her eyes in the rearview mirror saying, "Sarah, how could you?" We were both afraid. The life most children inside the IFB have is similar to prison, where your property and space gets flip searches on a regular basis. Can confirm. My dad was searching her room and found the book. He beat the absolute shit out of her, then took her to the library where he berated the librarians for allowing her to check out a book without calling him for permission. Luckily, I wasn't caught, but I was scared enough to return my books immediately. I was still afraid to finish reading Harry Potter until 2012. What is it with the IFB parents beating the shit out of their kids? Is child abuse one of the commandments? I mean, yeah, basically because they've made an 11th commandment out of the verse, "Beat him with the rod and he shall not die." Also really relatable because I didn't watch any of the Harry Potter movies until I was in my late 20s, maybe early 30s, and I'm almost 36 and just read my first Stephen King book this year. That's gonna do it for today, but if you like cults or hearing more Reddit stories, here's one of each, and the hardest decision you'll have to make is choosing which one to watch next. I'm a little awkward about promoting myself on here, but I do have an awesome line of merch that you guys can check out, and I'm having a lot of fun sending personal thank you videos to every single person that orders, so maybe I'll see some of you over there, and until next time, live, laugh, and leave a cult. Live, laugh, leave a cult. I have no rhythm. Live, laugh, leave a cult. My tricep kind of look good though. She kind of popping.